So far you're going to be thinking, well, what is LVM really all about? There just seems to be a lot of extra work. Well, we're going to now show you how dynamic our file systems can become. So you want a dynamic file system? Let's give you a dynamic file system. But the first thing we're going to do is go through and mount our file system again. So Control and R, and then I'm just typing mount. Now that's the umount command. So I'm just going to hit Control R again, and that gets me back to my mount command. Once we're ready with that, I can hit enter. I've got to authenticate again into the sudo system, but we have mounted our file system. When I go through and look at the free space, so if I use the df command, -h, and then add in data, we're going to be able to see that currently we've got roughly 900 meg available space. There's a little bit of an overhead for managing the space, but yeah, we have 900 meg available. Now maybe we're getting a little bit concerned. We want to add some extra space. Our first stopping point really should be checking the state of our volume group. How much spare space is there in the volume group? Well, here when we look at it, we've got 20 meg, but that really isn't going to help a lot, really, is it? 20 meg extra? I don't think they're going to be too happy. So we can go through and add in another physical volume. But if I look at the physical volumes that I have, I only have one. So PVS for my PV scan. I can create then another loop device, and I can use that loop device. So if I go back now and use a Control and R, I'm looking for LO setup. I'm hitting escape now rather than running the command because, of course, I have to adjust this to be disk 3. So, of course, that's coming back as loop 18. Ordinarily, we would now run the PV create command to create the physical volume, but this is actually a step that can be omitted. Let me show you. So let's go through and run the command. This time we're going to look at VG extend to extend the size of a volume group. We want to extend volume group 1 by adding in the device /dev and loop 18. Now we know this is not yet a physical volume. I want to show you what happened. So I'm going to add in the option -v for verbose. So we get the output of what's actually happening. It detects that the physical volume hasn't been created, so it creates the physical volume. Once that has been done, we can add the physical volume into the volume group by extending it. But the big thing here is that we didn't really need to create the physical volume. When I go through now and take a look at the volume group scanning, we can see that we've got roughly a gigabyte of free space. And we can then consume that free space within our logical volume. So let's clear the screen and then go through and look at our LV extend, our logical volume extend. I can include the option -R to resize the file system. That will work so long as our file system is ext4 or XFS, which of course it is. We're using ext4. As we continue, we can then go through and specify, and I'm using -L for the size now rather than the uppercase L. Normally I wouldn't use this, but the lowercase l is expecting the number of blocks or physical extents to use. I want to use all of the available, and there is a shortcut for that, but we must remember to use plus, whether we're using the size or, as I'm doing here, 100% free. So this is the shortcut I was talking about. But if we don't add plus, we'll just extend the size to whatever the free space actually is. We want to add in the free space. So we're going to go through now and specify we want to work with VG1 and LV1, and we can see that we extended the logical volume, but also then resized the file system. How cool is that? Whilst it was mounted, might I add. If I go through now and look at the disk free on data, that we've gone from about 900 meg available to 1.9 gig available, whilst people were still using the file system. When I look in the data directory, we can see that we haven't lost any data. The file 1 is still there.